I'm gonna break down a wholesale deal that we made $39,000 in profit and how the flipper made over $200,000 in profit. In today's video, you're gonna learn everything you need to know to wholesale real estate from A to Z. I'm gonna break it all down on this deal today. For some of you guys watching this video, you probably have no idea what wholesaling real estate even is. So I'm gonna break it down real quick. So if you already know, then just stay around for just about 30 seconds. So what wholesaling is you're gonna find a motivated seller that needs to sell their property for cash. These are typically not properties that are gonna be bought by a family. It needs a lot of work, it's very distressed. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring them a cash offer for a below market value. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna sell your rights on the contract on an assignment over to a cash buyer that's gonna fund the deal. They're gonna give the seller the money and then me the $39,000 in this case that I made on this deal. So that's what wholesaling is in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and show you exactly how we got this deal. So what you wanna do is you always wanna be prospecting for new people that you can potentially do deals with. So you gotta think about a couple people that you might be able to do deals with. One of those might be realtors, they might be wholesalers, they might be sellers, they might be the B2B partnerships that are gonna bring you deals. In this case, we were prospecting for realtors in our local market and had this deal presented to us. We looked at the numbers, we knew the area very well, we've done multiple properties over there, so we knew exactly what we could pay for it, but we wanted to figure out what the condition was. So the next thing that we set up is an appointment to go out to the property and actually take a look at this deal. So we get an idea of what the roof needs, the AC, the whole interior of the house. I mean, this thing needed a lot of work. So what we did is we talked with the seller because they didn't want to put it on the market. They wanted to leave stuff behind. They needed help selling some stuff. We even helped them to even move stuff out of the property too. So the more value you can present to these sellers to give them the easiest way to sell their house, they'll be willing to take a discount because I get a lot of people that might throw a comment below,
"No way you really bought that house for that much," or "Why would someone take that offer?"
It's because they need to get out of this house and they might have a bunch of equity in the house or not quite frankly care about money at the end of the day either. So what we did is we presented this offer, they accepted after a couple of days of thinking about it, and then we went to go to market the property to our cash buyers. I'm gonna tell you exactly where we found this buyer and how we got the deal sold. So after we had our purchase and sale agreement on the property, what we need to do is we need to market this to our cash buyers. And this is where you can make a lot of money if you have the right buyers. So in this case, we found this buyer using another wholesaler. We told them, hey, shop it out to some of your buyers. This was a repeat client that they've worked with multiple times. They rolled up to the property in a Rolls Royce actually and bought this property all in cash. So it's cool when you get connected with some of these people is that you're gonna be surrounded by a lot of investors with a lot of money. So you need to figure out how to talk with them, how to get the right details, what are they looking for, and how you can provide value to them to see this margin that you can realize as a flipper. So what we did is we went to that property with them. We told them about the roof, we told them about the AC, the windows age, any foundation issues, if any other major issues that could be wrong with the house. We also talked about the layout, the floor plan, what things might work well. Here's some comps that sold in the area that you could get the same price if you do this to the house. They looked at all of this, they took it all in, they talked with their contractors, and then they sent us an offer, and then they submitted non-refundable earnest money. What you don't want to do with these cash buyers is let them have an inspection period for multiple days, shopping you around, seeing if they want to say yes or no to the deal. These are investors, they know that they're in it for a quick buck, in and out, and if they want to make the money, they need to give you non-refundable earnest money. That's a non-negotiable for us. We won't do a deal unless we get non-refundable money. Now let's go ahead and go over the two contracts that I've talked about in this video so you guys can see exactly what we used and how we got this deal done with the correct paperwork. I also have two downloads that you guys can have below of our purchase and sale agreement and our assignment contract that you can get for free. So let's go ahead and get to the office. The first thing that you're gonna do once you're actually looking at the before photos of whatever house you get sent, you're gonna wanna understand exactly where this house is at and how much work it's gonna need to get to the market value of what it's worth. So when I first look at this house, I see an old garage, I see an older roof, I see older windows, I see landscaping issues. These are some of the things that you're gonna wanna look at and go, is this a good deal? Do I have to do that? Do I not have to do that? And we'll kind of talk about some of those things as we go through some of these photos. So here's another photo of the exterior of the house. Nothing too special. You got some big trees that are mature, which could cause plumbing issues, which is a big concern that we had when people were walking in this house. Then you kind of look, it's right next to the pool, it's right next to the house. It could also fall over on the house. So we always take pictures of that. The pool looks good, but you can kind of see right over here You can see that the plaster's peeling. You can see some rust and some, it's an older pool. The tile's all older. The pool decking needs to be redone. The landscaping's very overgrown on this side too as well. So this is something I'm gonna budget when I'm doing my renovations. Even if I'm just wholesaling, I gotta take into consideration all these things that I gotta do, right? This is kind of like a little utility closet. This could be added square footage of maybe a laundry room that's not in the best place, or it's a really small laundry room, or maybe this is just added on square footage that you can take to as well. All this underneath, right? You can kind of see all of this is just peeling off. So these are things that I'm going through and I'm looking, I'm like, what needs to be done? Now that makes me question the roof a little bit more. So the kitchen's very closed off. We have dated cabinets, countertops, appliances, floors. We got this gross wallpaper, this popcorn ceiling. So this is another thing. You can kind of see it in this photo a little bit, but it's a little bit hard to see. This is actually a step down. So in a lot of houses, you notice this in like 70s houses, 60s houses, maybe even sometimes in early 90s houses too. They have this like, 6-inch to like 12-inch step down. Most of the time right now, you're gonna wanna fill that up in today's trends, right? You're gonna basically pour concrete up to level out the whole house. That's an expense that I'm gonna have to take into consideration when looking at this budget for my flippers. Without your intent to buy this property, you have no jurisdiction over this deal. You might have the deal, you might know the seller, but without something that's written, set in stone, I would never market a property to an investor before you have one of these. This is a pro tip, and this is where I see a lot of wholesalers get themselves into a tricky situation. They start marketing a property, buyer goes around them, talks to the seller directly. So we got this property from Emmy. We have the consideration purchase price of $731,000. We had a deposit that needed to be made of $7,200 within 2 business days of being accepted. So this is kind of what you're looking for. This contract, I'm not gonna go through every single one of them because this is gonna be different state by state. This is actually an ADRE contract, the Department of Real Estate contract for Arizona. So if you're not in Arizona, this contract honestly probably means nothing to you. That's why we have a basic purchase and sale agreement that you guys can actually get by clicking the link below. Let's go ahead and go over to the assignment because this is gonna be more standard for anyone that's doing business right now. When you're doing deals, you have the option to always just double close them or assign them. In this example, I actually decided to double close and use pass-through funds on this deal. So what that means in theory is basically I'm using the buyer's funds to pay off the seller, I'm buying it and then reselling it the same day, right? It's very similar to an assignment, but on an assignment contract, it's just all on the HUD and it's done that way. So this is basically what's kind of taking place on here. So I required the buyer to put up $10,000 non-refundable, right, with 0 days inspection. It's gonna get sent to this title company. It has the same close of escrow. And then I also talked about a post-possession agreement that's inside of there. So we actually let the seller stay in the property for 30 days after. We paid for her to move. We did all these other things to basically help her make this the easiest process ever. Simplifying is everything in this business. The more that you can simplify things, the better and the higher likely that you'll get that contract. So this is basically that double close contract that we use. If you guys want this, I'm happy to give you guys this resource too. I could have simply used an assignment contract on this one, but for this example, on deals when we're making a little bit more money, we typically like to basically just double close it and fund the deal that way. So seeing the vision after is a completely different story, and you never know what your investor is going to do, but let's go ahead and show you guys exactly what this investor did on this property and how they made a ton of money by flipping this deal and how I made a ton of money by selling it to them too. So you can see I talked about doing landscaping. They added in this path. They did a new garage door. They threw on the new roof. They did all new windows, front doors, light fixtures. They painted the property. They made it look 10 times better than what it did beforehand. So let's kind of go into what they did. And so you can see where they spent money at and where they saved money at by kind of doing some stuff that we have both photos. So you can see they redid all of the underneath on this. As you can see, that is a huge selling point because now it looks really clean. You don't have peeling stuff off of there. They did pavers on the front. They added some grass or some turf in there. They gave a little bit of a slider door with a front entrance, which wasn't there previously. And then they did a pivot shaped door, which is really expensive, but is very worth it on a luxury house. So here's some day photos. Kind of take a look. They absolutely killed this remodel. They added in this fireplace that's electric with some nice stone. I mean, something like this is only gonna cost you maybe $2,500 to $3,500 to do, believe it or not, and can make a really great feature wall. You can see they opened up that whole floor plan. So this is where the money came in. They had to run a beam across to basically open this up. So an older house like this, you're gonna have to run beams to open up floor plans, which is gonna cost maybe $10,000 to $20,000 depending on how large and how instrumental that beam is, plus permit issues and all these other things that they're gonna have to go through, right? They have some nice new cabinets in here, some beautiful countertops that are waterfall, amazing appliances, light fixtures, everything's on point here, right? I think this is a Viking stove and some other Wolf appliances, I think is what they chose. So these are just some of the things when you go inside of a property that could be a make or break on why someone wants to do the deal. So when I'm looking at this, I think they absolutely crushed this renovation and they did a great job. And if you guys are trying to flip houses, you should follow something similar if you're in the luxury point. Let's go over some other things that I haven't talked about yet in today's video that are gonna help you to wholesale deals and find more properties. Step number one, you gotta find a distressed property that you can locate that is in need of work like what I showed you guys. Step number two, you're gonna get a purchase and sale agreement on that property signed by the seller and yourself, and you're gonna then deposit the money to the title company to open up escrow. Step number three, you're gonna start marketing it to buyers, you're gonna talk to other wholesalers, maybe even other realtors to help sell your deal. And then you're gonna find a buyer, and typically the buyer's gonna wanna walk the property before going on hard earnest money. Step number four, what they're gonna do is they're gonna sign an assignment contract with you that I have below that you guys can get for free. And that's gonna be a binding contract with you and your buyer that's gonna get you paid. You're gonna then send that over to the title company, and title is gonna receive their wire for whatever amount or check that they're gonna drop off at title for their consideration. And step number five is follow up on the deal until it gets closed. So many people just put the deal in escrow, they forget about it, they don't check back into their buyer, they don't make sure that the hard money loan's ready, they don't make sure that the seller's still on track to move out. All these things can kind of get the deal really messy if you're not following up and staying consistent. So once you have a deal all complete with all these steps, you gotta make sure you're following up on it, keeping tabs on it, making sure that it's gonna get to the closing line. And then I guess step number six is that you're gonna get your check for that money that you're wholesaling the house for. So if you guys like content like this, make sure to subscribe, make sure to get those free resources that I talked about, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video.